Love you.
It's good to be with you. I am Brad Listi.
I am Brad Listi.
That's actually Mira Gonzalez. I don't know if
Yeah.
you could tell, but we are here to sift through the rubble of American pop culture for your benefit. And I thought we would start today, Mira, by continuing our conversation because there have been developments about this affair between New York Magazine reporter Olivia Nuzzi and RFK Jr., who is sort of the shadow vice presidential candidate for Trump and wants to be, according to reports, I think, the director of Health and Human Services or something like that, should Trump prevail.
Fun.
Yeah, fun. So what do we have? Like, there's basically the big story, I think, is that we were wondering, I think, last week, like, how did this story happen even?
Right. I was like, did somebody leak her group chat? Like, it's one of her girlfriends? Like, not. But then, of course, she doesn't have girlfriends, is what I'm coming to the conclusion of. Because I guess her ex-fiance is the one who leaked the story. Is that right?
It seems like it. It seems like it because she has now, I think, gone to court to get what is called a no contact order against Lizza, who is also a political reporter of some notoriety. You know, he's been at the New Yorker and is now at Politico and has like a little bit of a troubled past professionally with his tenure at the New Yorker. There were I think claims of inappropriate behavior via text or something that led to his exiting the New Yorker. But now it looks like he found out about this affair and he is the one who leaked it to the magazine.
That's
right?
a fucking insane move. Yeah. So apparently what happened here is that she got a no contact order against him, saying that basically he strategically harassed her to force her to stay in a relationship with him by tipping off her employer that she was having an affair with RFK Jr.
How do you feel? And I should say, too, I think I read somewhere that getting a no contact order when you're going through a breakup, these kinds of orders are routinely approved by judges when they are asked for. So I don't want people to think that he, I don't think he did anything threatening in a physical way. I don't think it's like
a not revenge porn, but he was like, if you don't stay in a relationship with me, if you break up with me, I'm gonna leak this stuff to your employer. This private stuff between her and RFK Jr.
That's what he's claiming.
That's what she's claiming.
Or that's what she's claiming, yeah. And here's I'm trying to parse it. So it's I guess he had to have looked at her phone in order to find these FaceTime sexting exchanges or whatever the hell was going on between 70-year-old RFK Jr. and 32-year-old.
31.
She's 30. She's younger than you are.
Isn't that shocking?
I mean, yeah, it gets shocking when suddenly people in the culture are younger than you. You're like, what?
Laura Loomer, 31.
I mean, you're getting old, Mira. What can I say?
I mean, Jesus, if I ever start looking like Laura Loomer, just put me out of my misery. I don't know. Just that can be the end of my life. I don't need to keep going if I end up with a new face.
But here's the thing. It's just it's also chaotic. This is chaotic, I feel like. What are you doing?
It seems like she's a chaotic person. She's just a lot of chaos around her and her fucking husband.
Well, and RFK is chaotic, and Laura Loomer is chaotic. Everyone we're talking about, and everyone that sort of circles Trump world, it's just so fucking chaotic and weird. I don't know.
And chaotic and they don't know how to hide it. I wouldn't be surprised if non-Trump people were this chaotic too. They just have better PR people who know how to not make it a fucking thing.
I mean, if you're let's just try to game this out. If you're Ryan Lizza and you suspect something is going on, I think this happens all the time in couples where there's infidelity or someone's cheating. You would naturally want to look at your partner's phone, right?
See, that's where I'm if I get to a point where I distrust someone so much that I need to go through their phone, I feel the need to go through their phone, relationship ending then and there. I've been through that. No.
Yeah, right. If you're like, I need to like somehow get in, because you have to like find the code,
Yeah,
or
if you like distrust your partner so much that you feel like you need to like go through their shit to discover that they're having an affair, then they're probably having an affair.
so it says here, according to an August filing. So this was filed in August.
And just
Wow.
got out.
According to an August filing that was obtained by CNN on Tuesday,
So
Nuzzi,
she
age 31, accused Lizza, a prominent political journalist with Politico, of threatening to release her personal information and even hacking into one of her electronic devices to blackmail her.
wow.
Specifically, Nuzzi claimed that Lizza, age 50, quote, explicitly threatened to make public personal information about her to destroy her life, career, and reputation, a threat he has since carried out.
I mean, he did. That's true if he's the one who leaked that stuff. And it would be wild for her to sue in August for this. Like, because it didn't come out until just now, which means that, like, she's been suing him for a minute.
And I guess New York Magazine had to go through its internal processes to like evaluate the situation,
Oh, like if it was legal or not and shit like that.
or just like how to handle it. You know, like it's like
Right.
you have an employee who's been like a journalist employee who's been behaving like this and having I guess like an unethical relationship with a source. Like, what do you do? Like, do you fire the person? Do you suspend them? Do you do nothing? Like, you know, this is just typical like HR stuff within
Right.
a company. But like, I guess like, I don't know. Like, it also sort of smacks of like the Trumpian sort of Roy Cohn. Like, there's a part of me that wonders if there's like a Trumpian slash Roy Cohn strategy at work where it's like when you do something wrong and you get caught, you go on the attack instead of like apologizing or laying
Like they're like
low.
Nuzzi's going on the attack.
I mean, you know, like she's suing. It's like I'm the victim here. You know what I'm saying? Like I cheated on him and he caught me and now
I
I'm
mean,
going to sue him.
yes, but also like I think what he did is not legal. Like he is like using like he's hacking into her electronic devices to take her private communications to use them as blackmail against her so that she won't leave him.
Yeah. I guess.
I think there's like if she's suing him, like I mean, I don't know how litigious she is or whatever, but she's like paying for lawyers and shit. She might have
Yeah.
a case. Usually you'd settle that shit out of court, right? Like like
She accused Lizza of using a third party or anonymous channel to tip off her employer that she had been romantically involved
on
with
like a
RF.
signal or something.
Yeah, Nuzzi also claimed in her complaint that Lizza began strategically harassing her in July to force her to stay in a relationship with him. In addition to hacking into her personal electronic device, she accused her ex-fiancé of sharing, quote, doctored information about her to the media and impersonating, quote, an anonymous campaign operative, quote, to spread political information to damage her reputation further. Furthermore, Nuzzi alleged Lizza threatened her with violence, quote, to assume his share of financial responsibility for a joint book contract that they shared.
Wait, threatened her with violence to.
I guess they had a book deal together, like they were going to do a book, and like he I guess he wanted to get out of it. He's like, I'm not going to write a book.
Oh,
I'm not going to write a book with you. I don't know, something like that.
dude, Jesus. Like,
But then Lizza denied the allegations in a statement to the Post on Tuesday. Quote, I am saddened that my ex-fiancée would resort to making a series of false allegations against me as a way to divert attention from her own personal and professional failings. I emphatically deny these allegations and I will defend myself against them vigorously and successfully.
it's kind of just like a bunch of crazy idiots having the worst fight you've ever seen.
Right? It's like, dude, and like, here's the thing too. I don't think this helps. This doesn't help either of them. Like, no one's salvaging their reputation by doing this. Like,
It seems like her husband just kind of was like, well, my reputation's fucked anyways. Better just blackmail my fiance into staying with me. I mean, and like, Jesus, what is this girl's fucking thing with like old dudes? Ugly
yeah,
old dudes.
it's
This
weird.
guy's not even like rich. He's not even a Kennedy. He's like a fucking New Yorker writer. Like, who gives a fuck?
Yeah, he's 20, what, almost 20 years older than she is, or maybe, yeah.
Yeah, he's like 50 something. She's 31.
I
Like,
mean, I get it on a human level that, like, if you find out that you've been getting cheated on, like you could like lash out or do this sort of thing to like get vengeance, you know? Like I think
Yeah.
there are a lot of people in a relationship who, if they found out they were betrayed, might
Yeah.
do something like this.
I'd probably want to, but not, like it's like I get it. There's like ex-boyfriends who like I'm trying to think if I've actually ever gotten any of them fired, but I've certainly taken opportunities away from them, but they deserved it. That's the difference.
I mean, just getting, yeah, because the thing is, it's not just like,
He probably deserves it too, honestly.
I think that, yeah, it seems like they both have a problematic history. And like he really, if he did this, if he's the one who leaked it, he was like, okay, you cheated on me, you betrayed me, like I'm gonna fucking
I'm gonna ruin
destroy
your
you.
life.
I'm
Yeah.
gonna ruin your life.
Your entire life. Like you are fucked. And like considering his history, like I'll bet he did do it. I'd be surprised if he didn't.
I don't know who else would have.
Yeah, right. That's the thing. Who else is like finding this and who else is she telling? She's probably fucking taking that shit to her grave. I mean, who leaked it? Cheryl Hines? Like, no.
I mean, yeah, unless somebody likes like RFK, because I read an article. I don't know if we talked about this last time we talked about RFK, but I read an article. I got curious about him because I was like, yeah, I sort of have this idea of him, but I was like, I want to go deeper. And so I read this profile of him, I think in the New Yorker, where he basically admitted that he's a sex addict.
Yeah, that's like one of his addictions.
Yeah, he's like, I mean, he is insatiable
Yeah.
and he like literally can't control himself around women. And I guess because of that Kennedy mystique or whatever. And, he's had a lot of,
I mean, he was
like,
handsome when he was young, I guess, like in a Kennedy kind of way. Like,
right. I could see it, and so,
but like he's old and fucking leathery and fucked now, and he's all fucked up. Like he sounds like shit. Like he looks like shit. Like it couldn't make less sense to me.
right. Me neither. I read that, I'm like totally drawing from memory here, but in something that I read, it was like he did that New York Magazine piece with Nuzzi, like where she came out to profile him or whatever, in California, and he insisted on taking her for a hike. Like that's when they would talk. He's like, I'm going to bring my dogs, and they. I read the piece when it came out, like with some interest. I remember it, and like I remember he has like a minivan that's the dog van, which I found kind of charming. Like, oh, this is the car that I used, like just the
So she
beater.
like went into the middle of the wilderness in a van with RFK Jr.
I mean, middle of the wilderness is a bit of a stretch. She went up in what's the name of the Mandeville Canyon over on the
Okay.
west side of LA for like his usual little hiking loop. But like, I want to say on that hike, like they're just meeting and they're going for a hike and talking about him, and she's interviewing him and recording it. And there was something that I read where it was like he grabbed her by the arm and like made a pass at her of some kind on that interview.
Whoa. And
Like,
did this come out like long before like this whole like Olivia Nuzzi thing? Like
no, it was like, I think it was like revealed somehow in the aftermath. And like, you got to flag it. Like, I'm not 100% sure it's true. Like, how do you know if these things actually happen unless
well,
the parties involved? But like, that's something that I read. And it sort of squares with his history, right? He just like has like
really does.
impulsive sexual behavior, but yet it somehow worked.
I mean,
Like
for dudes like that, I think,
maybe
like
not right away, I should say. I don't think they
yeah.
like hooked up on the hike, but I
But
think
like
that was
maybe
like,
they like maybe she was like afterwards like, oh well that like obviously she didn't hate it, right? Like she was like into him. Like she liked him. She
I guess.
continued with it. I mean, like, I don't know. Like it's I think with people like RFK or like people who have been like handsome or famous for their whole life, like they have been so successful at making passes at women that it's kind of like they'll just do it anywhere all the time because like it's people don't turn them down.
Yeah.
And I think that's probably like where RFK Jr. is. Like he's like, oh, a young journalist who's like, on a hike with me or whatever. Like obviously, like that's why I'm taking her on a hike so that I can make a pass at her. Like it's not really a normal thing to like take a young female journalist like on a hike. Like it sounds cute, but also it's kind of like we can't just like sit in the fucking tour van, like tour bus.
Let's go to Shutters in Santa Monica and like
Yeah, exactly.
have like a normal like celebrity interview or whatever.
Yeah,
But
let's have fucking brunch.
no brunch.
No
Remember?
brunch. Oh, egg fueled nightmare. Brad hates brunch. It's a trigger word.
I was thinking this morning about how I was like, I might be like, I'm like a total outlier here, but I don't like the smell of ground coffee. That's part of what I find revolting. Like, I love the smell of coffee beans, but like, it's like the whole coffee thing
They
Just it,
smell different? Ground coffee and coffee beans smell different?
just this smell of like coffee mixed with eggs, and it's just there's something digestive about it that it's just not right. It's not pleasant or attractive.
I mean, mixed with eggs, I get, but like one of my favorite smells in the world is like fresh coffee being made and weed smoke mixed together. It smells like it's like my favorite smell.
I don't like coffee. I'm not a coffee guy, but
Mm.
I'm not
Well,
into
that makes
coffee.
sense.
The thing I don't like about it, like I love coffee beans, and I think that smell is wonderful. But I think that any beverage that you drink that gives you her like horrible breath, anything that you eat or put in your mouth that like the after effect is that your breath smells like shit, shouldn't be dealing with it. It's that's a
Garlic?
sign.
Oh, kind of stumped you there, didn't I?
What? Wait, what did you say?
Garlic?
I mean, I don't know. I don't know if like you're eating. I'm not somebody who's like eating garlic. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
Like I don't.
with a lot
Maybe
of
it's like
garlic in it.
if it's like a garnish or something. Like okay, like it's in a.
Garnish? Who uses garlic as a garnish?
Or I mean, if it's like mixed into, it's like a minor ingredient in like a
When I say
pasta.
garlic, like what are you imagining?
I'm imagining like cloves of garlic.
Okay, so just to be clear, nobody eats cloves of garlic except maybe Tao. Shout out Tao. That's not a thing. When I say like garlic, I mean like garlicky food that is edible, not just like eating a clove of garlic.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't eat a ton of garlicky food either. I'm not a huge fan.
It's good for you.
It is. I mean, you know, like if it's in something, I don't have a huge problem with it, but I'm not like going out of my way to like load up.
Is that because it makes your breath smell?
I'm just like, ugh. Like, I don't know. I don't know. And like, I think too, like people have different abilities to process it. I've never, like, let me put it to you this way. I've never in my life been like, oh my God, like your breath smells like garlic. It's horrible. I've never been around that, like where I feel, but with coffee, I definitely have. It reminds me of being like a kid and going up to my teacher's desk to like ask a question and having some teacher in my like
Now the
Indiana.
traumatic memories are coming out. That's
Yeah. And they're just like talking in my face with this awful coffee breath. And I'm just like, ugh, I'm over it. Get me
so
out of here.
funny. See, I associate it with like my stepdad waking up and making coffee in the morning. I'm like, oh, that's nice.
Yeah. That's how probably most people are. But anyway, RFK and Olivia Nuzzi, I don't know what's going on. Like, you wonder what, like, is there any relationship now? I guess RFK was talking about suing her, so probably not.
Everybody's fucking suing. Like, Jesus, I've never like seen a fucking FaceTime affair that resulted in so many fucking lawsuits. Like, they weren't even fucking. It was FaceTime.
Allegedly.
Allegedly. But also, like, if they were fucking at this point, you might as well say we were fucking. Like, that kind of makes her look like more, like, reasonable. Like, if they were fucking, the whole thing would make more sense.
I mean, it's like, it's just such like the rapid like betrayal, like the knives out and the self-protection. It makes me sad to think about. Like, there's just no loyalty or like humanity.
No.
It's like the shit hits the fan. It's every man for himself, and like I'm gonna fuck you over, as like hopefully before you fuck me over is kind of the way it feels. And then on a more like human level, I hate to see people break up like this. Like you're fucking engaged to this person, and this is where it winds up.
But
I
what
guess
if Pearl Hines leaves RFK? That's kind of good for her, right?
I mean, yeah. If you're
As
if your partner is conducting an intimate relationship behind your back with somebody else, that's not a sustainable set of circumstances 9.9 times out of 10.
yeah, no.
And there is a story where it says that Cheryl Hines, this is interesting kind of, it says Cheryl Hines made, this is also from page 6, so it's not like I'm taking this from like
From TMZ, which is a much more trusted source.
It says Cheryl Hines may divorce RFK Jr., but it'll be over Donald Trump more than Olivia Nuzzi.
The fuck?
Sources tell, page 6. Sources have told us that Hines is indeed likely to leave him. The guy is a serial philanderer, and she knew that coming in.
But like, she also knew that he's a Trump supporter and has known that for a while, like the rest of us. You don't just like live with RFK Jr. and like not know that he's a Trump supporter. Like, she's maybe gonna leave him because he got public about it, not because he's a Trump supporter. She just doesn't like talking about it.
I'm not sure she knew that he was going to go Trump. I mean, he was like anti-Trump like a year ago, like saying like there's no way I would ever be involved with him. You know, he
Or was he going to endorse Kamala?
I think he was sort of like, no, I don't like either of them was sort of his shtick. And like that, I think she found acceptable or at least more
Like,
acceptable.
I don't believe it. I don't believe it. I think she knew. I think she doesn't like being embarrassed in public. It's like when he like did the fucking Holocaust denial and she had to come out and be like, that's not how I feel. I don't think the Holocaust was fake. Like, she knows that he's insane. She just like doesn't like it being public. Doesn't like having to like deal with the PR of it all. She wants to be like, I'm a good liberal. I'm a good Democrat. I'm not married to a Trump supporter. I'm married to a Kennedy, but like, surprise, bitch.
Well, I mean, it's like, yeah, I mean, I think you make
The
like
wrong Kennedy.
you make a good point. It's like let me ask you, let's put it this way. Were you surprised that RFK decided to endorse Trump?
Of course not. I'd be shocked if he decided to like endorse Kamala or not endorse anybody.
Yeah, I think that's the thing. It was totally unsurprising to anybody who pays like a lick of attention to this. And so it probably, if it was surprising to her, like shame on her. Like, come on,
Yeah.
everybody else could see it.
Like, if it was surprising to her, like, she was in a state of denial that is, like, profound. Because everybody else knew. And, like, I'm sorry, like, Cheryl Hines knows a lot of shit. She just has to. All this shit that's coming out about him, like, in the paper, like, oh, he murdered a bear. Oh, he murdered a whale. Like, oh, he murdered a dog. Like, it's, like, all this shit.
Wait, he killed a dog?
Knows. Well, there's a photo of him in front of a charred four-legged animal that he says was a goat. But it looks a lot like a dog. And the fact that he had to come out and clarify is that says something.
So the messy scandal, according to Page Six, has turned into a very public back and forth with sources claiming Kennedy love bombed Nuzzi and she was infatuated with him. A source told Page Six that the pair had, quote, incredible FaceTime sex and even said they loved one another.
Ew.
I mean, this is just so chaotic.
I mean, incredible FaceTime sex doesn't exist. That's not a thing. That doesn't exist. That's not real. That's fake. Saying I love you after FaceTime sex is fucking weird as fuck. Like, you're like jerking off to like an image of Olivia Nuzzi and you're like, I love you. Like, what the fuck, dude? Like, get it together. Like, you're a 70-year-old man.
Yeah, it points to like an emotional immaturity. It also points, I mean, honestly, I don't know what. Maybe I'm feeling soft today, but it points to like such like a human sadness, like a loneliness. You know what I'm saying? If that's what you're like, if you're feeling so much like relief and like maybe happiness at any kind of like human connection like that, and it's coming through a FaceTime exchange, like that's sort of
grim.
like that's grim. Yeah,
it's really grim. I mean, it's like it. I mean, it just makes you wonder who else is he fucking. He's like for sure not just being faithful to Cheryl Hines, except for amazing FaceTime sex. Like he is like definitely out there paying some sex workers like very, very well. I hope. Like because like that he doesn't have normal sex either, right? He's got some fucking Looney Tunes ass sex situation going on that involves like, I don't know, fucking pianos falling down and like hitting each other in the head with hammers and like I probably like tying each other in elaborate knots and God knows what feet. I don't know, God knows. Like he probably has some of the weirdest fetishes anybody has ever known and is probably willing to engage in a kind of sex that is just terrifying to me.
Kennedy, I'm reading more on this Page Six article. Kennedy's philandering was well documented in 3 of his diaries, exclusively seen by the New York Post after his second wife.
Philandering against Cheryl Hines?
No, this was after his second wife. I think last week I misspoke and said that he had only been married once. He'd actually been married twice.
Right.
Before Cheryl Hines. His second wife took her own life, Mary Richardson Kennedy, in 2012. And he did, I mean, reportedly kept these diaries about all of these affairs that he had that like his wife found, I think, and it was like very devastating to her because he wrote all these details of what he was up to.
And then she fucking killed herself. I do remember this.
But in the diaries, he supposedly talked about his, quote, lust demons and then kept a scorecard of his conquests. But like lust demons, like I got to say, I feel some
ew.
Like what does that mean? Like you're just like, I'm like,
he's just like, he sees a woman and he's just like, I'm losing my mind. I'm fucking like exorcist me. Like I don't my dick it's like just doing things without my permission. Like I like what the fuck? Like why like this is the only you only ever hear this from like men who are wealthy or powerful or think themselves wealthy or powerful. It's like you don't ever hear like a girl being like I have lust demons. Like what? Like okay, you like fucking, that's one thing. You have a wife for that. But like this is another situation. This is a it's not demons, it's an addiction. It's a problem. It's a unhealthy relationship that he's developed in lieu of heroin addiction or something.
Well, I mean, and let's be honest, right? He's a Kennedy, like you said. He was a handsome in a Kennedy-ish way as a young man. It had to have been probably very easy for him to get laid.
So easy.
So when that is the like, I can sit here and be like, lust demons. What does that mean? But like, I've never lived life as like a famous Kennedy dude who like every time he goes out, there are probably women like, at least back in the day, were probably like signaling to him that they were open to hooking up or whatever.
I
Maybe
signaling they were like, "Do you want to go have sex with me right now?" And he was like, "Yes."
yeah. So like maybe you would have lust demons if we're going to use that term.
I mean, Jesus, the Kennedys are so fucked up. Like the way that fucking JFK and his what was his brother's name? Was it Robert?
Yeah, his brother was Bobby Kennedy Sr.
Yeah, like him and Bobby were both fucking Marilyn Monroe. That's
Ew.
so fucking weird. Imagine that at the same time, like not literally in the same room at the same time, but like they were like in the same area of time, both fucking Marilyn Monroe.
That's kind of gross.
It's disgusting.
Yeah, like what the?
Like, oh, you just fucked my brother? Let's go fuck now. Like, ew, ooh. Like the Kennedys are weird and gross and confusing, and except for Big Edie and Little Edie, who are perfect, and I love them.
And my beloved John John.
And your beloved John John, I suppose. There's
the lost dream of a Camelot
a lost
sequel.
dream. There's a scene in Real Housewives of New York where one of the housewives gets so drunk that she said, "I was just here the other day partying with Madonna and John John." And like the other housewife's like, "Okay, honey, let's get you to bed. John John has been dead for a long time." That's kind of you if you have like maybe a drink or two.
It's definitely me. I immediately start slurring and talking
Instantly.
about John John. You should, if you ever at a party with me, get ready. I'm gonna
He'll do it sober sometimes, if you get him excited enough.
say again.
He'll do that sober sometimes if you get excited enough.
Yeah, if you say, if we get into the narrative, but
He'll start claiming he saw John John yesterday.
so how do you think this ends? Like this whole like Nuzzi RFK, like maybe it just fades.
You know what? Like, I thought that RFK, like, I thought we had kind of gotten the news with RFK. Like, I thought it was like, all right, like, how much more could come out about this guy? Like, we've seen, like, a fucking whale. We've seen a fucking, like, he's philandering on his wife. We've seen he killed a bear. He killed, like, just, like, all this, war made his brain, all this crazy shit. And yet, I thought, okay, his campaign's over. This stuff's going to stop coming out. But it hasn't stopped. It's been a steady stream of psychotic RFK Jr. news. And I wonder if it's ever going to stop now. Is it just going to be a cascade of insane RFK Jr. news until the moment he dies? Like, I don't know where it ends.
I don't know either. I think he's had a hard life. I mean, in a lot of ways to lose I think he was in his teenage years when his dad was killed.
Yeah, I just made a face like, oh, he's had a hard life. And then I remembered, like, all the Kennedys died. So I guess
yeah. I mean, no, this profile that I read of him talks about like he was like a teenager, maybe like 16 or 17 or something, and like was in Hyannisport, I think, the Kennedy compound area. Yeah. And he dropped acid as a teenager and like had like kind of a wild night or whatever, like introspective. And then in the morning, like walks into a diner, and I want to say like he's still tripping, and he looks at the wall and there's like a framed photo of like JFK and Bobby, and it just like,
I thought you were gonna say like he found out that his dad died like in that moment, and I was like, oh my god, that's like the worst possible, like his tripping balls is the worst thing to happen. But no.
Well, no, I mean, I want to say one of the brothers was in the hotel when Bobby Sr. was killed and saw it on the news, and like,
oh my god, like before he found out.
Like was watching it, and like then the news broke, and he like, and I want to say like after he was so traumatized he couldn't speak for a while, like many.
I would be. That's fucking insane. Like you're fucking watching the news, and it's like that assassination. Like Jesus, fuck, dude.
Yeah. So I mean, like, there's a human side to this, like with him, that like makes it more understandable. That's how his like drug addiction. I think that was like the genesis of his drug addiction because he started to spiral into this bad trip after seeing those photos, as you could imagine, and then went out onto the beach or something. And this was like what? This is like the 60s, 70s. Like,
Oh, had a
uh,
psychotic break, maybe.
no, somebody like he met some like other hippies and they're like, oh, you're feeling down? Like, here's an upper, and like gave him like meth or some shit like that. And then he just like, he's like, for the next however many years, he's like, I was just high all the time.
Was he into meth or was it heroin? Or was it both?
Oh, I think he was just into getting fucked up. As you know, I don't know if that. I don't think he was ever like a meth head, but I think like cocaine, heroin, probably a lot of it. I would imagine, like the smorgasbord.
Damn, and now I can't do any drugs anymore. Skill issue. Just kidding. Addiction's a real problem. I'm sorry.
I mean, it is, you know, but
It's not a skill issue. I apologize to all of our listeners out there. I am working on becoming better. This is I will be posting a Notes app apology very soon.
you know what? You do have to post a Notes app apology. I meant to bring this up last week, but
What have I done now?
we have to issue, for the first time ever, and probably not the last time, a correction on Brad and Mira for the culture. There was a conversation we were having about J-Lo a couple of 2-3 weeks ago where you were talking about how Ben Affleck caught her claiming that she was raised working class, but then it turned out she was driven to school in a Bentley or whatever.
Yeah.
Remember that?
Uh-huh.
So my wife listens to our show, or was listening during like a bout of insomnia.
Shout out.
I don't think she's ever listened a single time.
Bro, I've been doing a podcast for 14 years and she's listening for the first time.
And she's listening to the pop culture like breakdown.
Yeah,
not like
you're welcome, Brad.
not one of my esteemed like literary interviews, but
well, I'm fun, so
yeah, exactly. This is like actually like let's get into the trash of our culture and sift through it. But she was listening and she was like, oh, by the way, she's like, it wasn't J-Lo that Mira was thinking of. It was Victoria Beckham and David.
It was.
Yeah, because you know what? When you said it, I was like, "There's no way J-Lo, like from Queens, was getting driven to school." It was Victoria Beckham who was claiming to be like a working class hero, and then David Beckham makes
a lot more sense.
Yeah. So our apologies to J-Lo.
Your wife knew that. Like, it was like not even J-Lo was referring to a totally other thing. Nobody else caught it, and your wife was like, "Oh, by the way, I watched Victoria Beckham thing. Amazing."
I think there was a documentary. There was like a documentary. I can see how you could conflate it because there was a documentary featuring J-Lo and Ben, and then there's also the one with Victoria and David.
But like your wife's on top of it. I'm sensing a third co-host.
She would be. I mean, she's so funny. I wish she would never do it, but we could get her on the mic, she'd be the star. I'll try to convince
her. Next time I see her, I'll be like, please. It would be so fun.
So yeah, and then it didn't. I think in that Victoria Beckham, David Beckham documentary, wasn't there like a scene? I didn't see it, but there was a scene that I think got memed where they're dancing to "Islands in the Stream" that then became like a relationship test.
Islands in the Stream,
where like they play that Kenny Rogers, Dolly Parton song, and they start dancing together, and so then it became like a thing where like I've seen this on like TikTok where like there'll be a husband and a wife in the kitchen. And like the wife will like turn on that song, and if the husband starts dancing with her, that's like he loves me. And if he doesn't start dancing, it's very fucking annoying and stupid.
That's so fucking annoying. Oh my god! Imagine divorcing your husband because he didn't dance with you to the Kenny Rogers song you randomly put on while he was cooking dinner. He's like, "I'm trying to fucking chop onions for the tomato sauce. I don't want to hear this fucking song."
Yeah, and by the way, who are these couples who like make dinner together and dance together?
Yeah,
and like
what?
Kitchen, grow up.
Nobody who actually cooks like wants somebody else in the kitchen with them. Like you want to be like, I'm cooking, I'm gonna be done soon. If you want to fucking like grate the cheese over there, great. But like I'm like busy in here, and you're like in my space. Kitchens are not that big.
That's right, exactly. It's like you don't want to.
I have to turn around. I have to do this thing. I have to get the boiling water off the thing, and you're just like there behind me being annoying.
Yeah, my wife always is like, get the fuck out of here. Like you're in my way.
It's like only in like TV shows when it's like, oh, I'm like mixing a bowl and I'm being like hugged from behind. Don't fucking hug me. I'm mixing. Like I'm busy.
Yeah, like hovering over a hot stove.
Yeah, like excuse me, there's like boiling hot things here. It's dangerous. There's fire.
Well, what else is going on? What else do we have to talk about today?
Let's see. So, well, we have like the big story of, I don't know, possibly the year, which is Diddy. We have more updates on Diddy.
I feel like we're going to have updates on Diddy for like the foreseeable future.
Yeah, I feel like it's gonna be like an ongoing segment, which we shouldn't name because it's gonna get very dark and that might seem inappropriate. So we will not give it a cute name like Brad learns, but we will talk about it. So Diddy, the latest news, so the last news that we heard was that his mansions have been raided. They found all this baby oil. They found all this lube and stuff. There was some recording you listened to that I refused to listen to that was, I don't know, they were fucking through a door, Meek Mill, a bunch of stuff. We went over that last week. So this week, let's see, we have a couple of Diddy news items. One of them is that Denzel Washington, my man, apparently confronted Diddy at one of his parties and stormed out after a screaming match with Diddy.
Like I should say, this is alleged to have happened in 2003. So this was like 21 years ago. It's a long time ago.
Yeah. So Denzel allegedly confronted Combs during an all-night affair he attended with his wife, Pauletta Washington, in 2003. He screamed, "You don't respect anybody," according to the source, and said that he and Pauletta had been partying until dawn and they had seen something and then stormed out. Seen something. So like, I think the implication here is that Denzel was at a party. He was up all night partying. He was doing drugs with his wife. And then some shit started to happen. Some weird sex shit started to happen. And Denzel was like, fuck this. Absolutely not. What the fuck? And probably in a drugged out, I have to imagine, situation, yelled at Diddy and then left. And that kind of makes sense. It kind of really makes sense. It's kind of like you're there and you're like, oh, you're partying. Oh, what the fuck is this? And like, good on him if that's really what happened. Like,
I mean, but here's a question, because like the thing is that there's all these different like threads of that are coming out, you know, different pieces of the story. And if it's just a sex party held at like a rich like rap mogul's house where like there are, I guess like the questions become like, okay, so you hired sex workers to come in and like service people at the party, and it's just like a freaky like libertine sex party at a mansion in Holmby Hills.
See, that I think happens all the time and no one gets sued.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. Like I'm not saying I'd want to go to a party like that, but the fact that they happen, I'm like, well, this shit's been going on in Hollywood since time immemorial.
I mean, I know lots of sex workers. That's the thing. They get hired by really famous people to go and do sex stuff. And like, oftentimes they're just paid well and it's fine and it's consensual and there's not a problem. But clearly this is a problem.
Well, I'm reading things where like the people, okay, so I'm reading, first of all, and this is the most dark and troubling and like totally unfunny part of it, is that there might be accusations coming that there were minors involved.
Really minor.
Like there was a 9-year-old boy is one of the, I mean, this is again alleged.
Apparently.
Yeah, and you have all these people. There's more than 100 people who are on this lawsuit.
120, I think. And also, I mean, I'm seeing a story that said like A-list guests knew when to leave Diddy parties before it, quote, took a turn.
At like what, 2 a.m?
Yeah, like I think at some point they were like all on, because I think this is what Diddy's MO was like he would get celebrities over there, he'd give them lots of drugs, lots of alcohol, you know, probably have sex workers there at first consensually and drug them. And then by the time all the celebrities were really high and they were really like, you know, fucked up or whatever, and they were willing to engage in some shit, like that's when they would get weird, the parties. And so like, if I had to guess about this Denzel thing, if it's true, it probably is that he hadn't been to a Diddy party before, so he didn't know like when to leave when shit got weird. And Diddy didn't know that Denzel wasn't down with that. And so when things started to get weird, Denzel was like, hold on, I thought this was like a consensual, like us doing drugs party, not like you like drugging sex workers and us date raping them thing. And
a lot of the people on the lawsuit are male sex workers.
Mm-hmm. I mean, and
like,
this I think is like, if I had to guess, probably part of why it's taken so long for it to come out is because like they're not having sex with young women, which is of course not acceptable and horrific, but it's like more socially acceptable if you're like a, you know, kind of macho male musician or whatever. If you're like a rapper whose job is to like create young male pop stars and you've kind of been this like tough dude and then you're fucking another guy, like the homophobia associated with that in like the 90s was really fucking intense, like really, really intense. And it still is to this day. But like you could see somebody like Diddy really holding on to that and like the people around him holding on to that and it kind of having like a real shame to it because for Diddy it's young men and that is shameful. But also just like being gay at all, I think for like Diddy and the people around him, I think that he really created an environment where it was like you're gonna like your whole life is fucked if people find out that you're just gay. Like, and so you can't tell anybody about this pedophilia or this rape or any of this shit because like I will tell everybody that you are fucking men. And I think that like it's like almost like more it's harder for people to talk about. It's easy like you know, for young women and for a man there's a power differential there that's very obvious. But for a man and another man, people get confused even though they shouldn't and it's clear as day. But like I think that's probably why it took such a long time for this to come out.
Yeah, you got to get it. You got to get it all. You got to get all the testimony. You've got to get all the evidence. You got to have it really like they don't bring charges unless they have it really airtight.
Totally.
And so the thing too is like, you know, you have all these sex workers there who are showing up consensually knowing they're going to be doing sex work, but then it seems like he was drugging them without their consent.
Yes, absolutely. Because they were like, I mean, from what I've read and from what I understand, like allegedly they were like out. They were passed out. They were like, because like allegedly the drugs that he used to knock people out, it was ketamine and I think GHB.
GHB can kill you.
Yeah, absolutely it can. It's like it's a depressant. It's like a benzodiazepine, but it like is also like a central nervous system depressant. So like it can cause you to like stop breathing, cause your heart to stop, which like a lot of drugs can, you know, it's
so wait, I got to ask then. So like these people are passed out on like GHB or something and then they're violated while they're passed out.
And like it was used as like to put people out for surgeries back in the day. So it's like you are out. And if he's using ketamine on people, that also like, because both of these things you can like inject basically. So you could just like drug somebody real fast. And ketamine will put you into what's called a K-hole, which is like you just can't move or talk or really do much. And it's like enjoyable if you're having a nice time on it, but it also makes it so you just like can't move.
Have you been in a K-hole? That's like a terminology.
I've been in a K-hole, Brad.
You have? I've never been in a K-hole. I don't know what the fuck
that is. Have you ever done ketamine?
No.
Well, that's an experience that you can still have. That's nice for you.
Well, it's something to look forward to. My K-hole, my midlife K-hole. Maybe for my 50th birthday.
K-hole.
It's also crazy. It's also crazy. And like, apparently there's a lawyer, what's this guy's name, that says that the list of names of other celebrities who are involved
includes like A-list celebrities, apparently.
In a press conference held Tuesday in Houston, again, this is page 6 that I'm quoting, but at a press conference held Tuesday in Houston, attorney Tony Busby, and Tony Busby represents all of these people who are listed on the lawsuit. He warned that, quote, the day will come when he names the other alleged perpetrators and bystanders associated with Combs's alleged illegal activities. Quote, we will expose the enablers who enabled this conduct behind closed doors. We will pursue this matter no matter who the evidence implicates, Busby said. He is representing over 100 alleged victims of the Bad Boy Records founder. The day will come.
100 victims. Like, they have to have evidence.
Yeah, the day will come when we will name names other than Sean Combs. And there's a lot of names. It's a long list already because of the nature of this case, we are going to make damn sure that we're right before we do that, he continued. The names will shock you.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if I'll be that shocked by the names, but maybe I will. Should we make guesses as to who's going to be on the list?
I mean,
I'll make a guess. Ashton Kutcher, Chrissy Teigen and John Legend, Meek Mill, Usher. Who else? Maybe Jay-Z.
I mean, people who have been
R.
the thing.
Kelly.
Here's the thing. Here's the thing. You're a 28-year-old Hollywood actor in like 2007. Like you're Ashton Kutcher, and I guess it's one thing if you're actually having sex with some drugged sex
That's
worker
the thing. It's like
against their
these aren't just people going to the parties, right? These are people who like there is like allegedly like they are helping to like further this abuse.
yeah, and or if you're just like fucked up on like MDMA and God knows what else, and you've been drinking all night, and all of a sudden like things take a turn, and you're just like there. I mean, I don't know. I think there are going to be people who are like quote unquote bystanders, but it's like, dude, they thought they were going to a party. They didn't know what they were signing up for. And then they get all wasted and they're there. And it's like, are they criminally liable is the point.
I mean, if they sat and watched people get raped, yeah, I think so. That's
Yeah.
like,
but it's like, I don't know if they knew it. I guess the question is like, did they know what they were watching? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like,
well, in that if the person was unconscious and drugged, then yes, I think that's the question is like, and I think also they would not bring charges against somebody who was just watching, right? Like you can't really like pursue that in court. I think like any charges they bring will have to be somebody who actually engaged in either like doing the rapes or like helping procure people for them or helping bring people to the part, like things like this. Like, I doubt that they could bring charges against somebody who just saw what happened.
Here's something interesting. Because people in Hollywood have a lot of money, right? And so they would have access to really good legal representation. And so much of these kinds of cases happens behind the scenes before things are made public. Obviously there's a long running investigation that had to unfold before Diddy was finally arrested.
And he did pay off his ex-wife, which was the thing that started all of this.
Yeah, and here's the thing. If there are like high level celebrities who are implicated in a really serious way that are in like serious legal jeopardy, and it's a big like group kind of conspiracy sort of case, typically the first people to go to the feds to turn state's evidence are the ones that get the deal. And if you don't get to the line first, you lose out on the opportunity to cut a deal with the feds to squeal essentially.
I'll bet someone already did that.
That's what I'm saying is that like if there really are celebs who are in legal jeopardy, but they know shit that went down and
they're going to squeal
and they can testify, you could potentially, I'm not saying this is going to happen, but I could imagine it happening where you could see some celebrity turn state's evidence and become the sort of like Sammy the Bull,
right?
Like who squealed on John Gotti and could be the one to say like, I was there, this is what happened. But in exchange for that testimony, they get immunity.
I mean, that, if that did happen, could they keep that person anonymous?
I don't think so.
No? See, that's the question is like, if they could keep the person anonymous, I think Justin Bieber would do it. But if that person couldn't stay anonymous, I think that there's probably like a genuine, real fear, and maybe not among certain celebrities because they can pay for security and stuff. But like, I'm sure Diddy has physically threatened these people for a long time. I'm sure there's like a fear there of like, if I go to the feds, am I actually going to be protected against it?
Justin Bieber's going to have to go into witness protection, just completely reinvent himself, get plastic surgery, just change like.
I mean, he's such a regular white guy. You could probably just like dye his hair and just like get rid of tattoos and blend.
But I think like, I think that if your choice is I'm either going to get indicted or I can testify
and be seen as a hero
and be immune and not have to ever spend a day in jail. But I'm going to have to get on the stand and testify against all these people and put my own life at risk or whatever, or just be like, it's a really painful testimony to have to give.
Extremely.
We could see something
ruiningly painful. I mean, like I am like, and I think everybody is like almost completely certain that Justin Bieber was abused in one way or another as a young kid. And he was like in Diddy's care fully as a kid, just constantly. And so like, and he's like, come forward and been like, I want to protect Billie Eilish from like the things that I saw as a kid. Like he clearly has like a really intense, like, feeling of wanting to like protect people a little bit and feeling obviously he's a very damaged person. He struggled and like, I don't know. I think that like I could see him wanting to do that, but I don't know if I could see him actually like doing it without being anonymous.
Yeah,
Like
I feel like
I feel like Usher might just like uh, be in like a similar amount of legal trouble.
a friend of mine who listens to this show told me that Usher just moved into my neighborhood, like nearby,
Really?
into an apartment. Yeah, no, like
Ooh, an apartment?
a penthouse apartment. Yeah.
Okay, interesting. Interesting.
So I'll keep an eye out.
Yeah, keep an eye out. Let me know.
I
Let
see
me
him.
know if you see Usher.
I'll take out my phone and see if I can get him to comment for our show.
No comment, Usher.
I'm sure he's dying to talk
Security
about.
shoots you on site.
Yeah, he's dying to talk about all this. But yeah, I don't know. It's just like a messy story. But yet, I feel like in recent years, especially, there's always this like. There have been so many kinds of these stories, many of them tied to like politics and Trump, where you're like, it's coming. There's going to be a huge bust. It's all going to come apart. And then there's also like the conspiracy theorists online who are like, yeah, it's the pizza parlor. There's tunnels from New York to Canada. There's a sex pedophilia ring and, that sort of craziness. But nothing ever happens. Like, is
No.
there really going to be a there or is it just going to be like Diddy drugged
I mean,
people and it was a pedophile and he's going to jail and that's the end of it?
like after Epstein, people were really expecting a lot with Epstein, and we didn't get much. And like,
Right. Epstein's
it
the
could be a
perfect
reboot with
example.
that, it could be. But also, like, I wonder. I think since Epstein, people's bloodlust for pedophiles and whatnot has gone up, and I wonder, like, how much I don't know courts will be like willing to give anybody like an out if the public is like, we need everybody in jail right now, because like they don't have like, it's not like members of the government like it is with Epstein. Like with Epstein it was like former president and like royal family and shit like that. These people have money, but maybe not like the state level protection that Epstein's accusers or Epstein's like whatever people who did fucked up shit had.
Absolutely. Unless there were somehow politicians involved, which
Yeah,
always possible.
Jesus. It's possible. I mean, Gavin Newsom's hanging out with a lot of celebs, and I guess other fucking politicians are doing the same, but Gavin Newsom's the main one that I can think of. That fucking fucker with his Batman hair.
The the way that the legal system works, I think, is that if there is a case like this and you're somebody who is going to get indicted or there's a good possibility that you're going to be implicated and indicted, you will receive what's called a target letter from the law enforcement. And you wonder who's gotten a target letter potentially, and then
What is the
once
target letter?
it's just basically you're a target of this investigation. Means
So, like,
we've got
you've been named in this investigation, basically.
yeah, it's like we've got you in our sights. So if you get a target letter, that might, and then you lawyer up, and you've got money to pay like a really good lawyer. A really good lawyer is going to tell you, like, look,
We gotta
he's
make
going
it.
to, we got to make a deal, or you're likely going to get indicted. These are your choices. Like
Yeah,
that lawyer is going to provide honest counsel if they're worth their salt. And I would
right. Of
imagine if you're
course.
paying for a top level defense attorney, they're going to be professional about it. Like, so I guess like my question is, how many target letters have been issued? And also, like, I would love to know if there were any public record of this, which of course there is not. I would love to know which celebrities have retained the legal services of which, like,
God. I
who's.
mean, when this becomes a case where there's like other defendants or whatever, I am going to be like doing so much research on who all their lawyers are and what the different connections are, because you just know somebody in there is going to hire like Harvey Weinstein's lawyer or fucking, Epstein's lawyer. Like, it's just going to happen for sure.
I mean, it's so funny. I mean, it's not funny, but I've been saying for years, like, oh my God, like the corruption and just like the moral bankruptcy of the entertainment business, when you really start to peel away the layers, is just like nauseating. And Harvey Weinstein, blah, blah, blah. Like this is like way worse than Harvey Weinstein in a lot of ways. It's like,
I
oh,
mean,
that's the standard we're using. We're like, oh, well, Harvey by comparison.
yeah,
It's like,
nope, Epstein. It's not Harvey, it's Epstein.
oh my God. It's
The
like,
whole Epstein situation. I mean, it makes you wonder, like, fucking how much of this shit is going on behind the scenes that we just have no fucking idea about. Like we didn't know about any of this shit. How
there's a
many
war.
investigations are happening?
There is a world that exists for the ultra privileged that does not exist for the rest of us. That is a truth. I mean, like, we're all human, so we're all subject in the end to the same, like mortal quandary. You know what I'm saying? But
yeah, they're all gonna die.
Yeah, that we can't escape old age, sickness, and death. But man, on the way there, if you're in this like class of like oligarchs and entertainment industry titans or whatever, you're existing on a different plane with like a different set of life options that are just completely alien to the rest of us.
Yes, completely.
I mean, it's crazy. And so I think maybe if you're inside of that bubble and like there's just nothing that you can't have except eternal life, basically. There's no material good. You can pay for sex or to, you know, have kind of whatever you want.
Yeah, you can pay for anything.
Maybe that becomes like a warped.
I mean, this is why we see wealthy people pursuing things like cheating death, you know, like uploading your consciousness or whatever, and like trying to be cool. You know, like Bezos wearing a fucking cowboy hat and like marrying a hot young girl or whatever, because these are things that money can't buy you. And like therefore they're the only things that these people can't have, and therefore they're the things that they want.
Yeah. Go to Mars.
Yeah, exactly. Fucking just die on Mars. That'll save me now.
I hope they all go to Mars. Like,
God,
please
same.
Get on the rocket.
Please go to Mars. Like,
Lead
I'm
the
begging
way.
you all to go to Mars. Like, that sounds great for you guys.
That would be awesome. Like, maybe we should write a movie together about how all the billionaires decide to go to Mars together, and like,
God.
but and the rest of us are like, yeah, we're gonna come too, but you guys first.
Yeah, you guys go first. It's fine. No, we're right behind you.
We're right behind you. Go.
God, just get them like out there stuck on the International Space Station or something, like those fucking people out there, and just be like, oh yeah, we're gonna save you for sure. Don't worry, we're gonna come out there and save you until they're all dead.
I think there's really no precedent for the psychological experience of extended space travel, except maybe being stuck on the International Space Station, like whatever those people are going through who are up there now. But
dude, they're gonna fucking die. They're fucked. Like, sorry to be so dark, but like, shit's bad, dude. Have you like looked into the details of this at all? It's really bad.
I mean, I think we talked about it a little bit, but
a little bit.
I want to say that the travel time from Earth to Mars on one of these like SpaceX supposed like theoretical SpaceX vessels, it's gonna be like more than a year.
I think it's like,
or maybe 2 years. I forget how long it is, but it's
like
a long,
like that.
It's like a long fucking time of your life to be just in transit.
Yeah, on a fucking rocket ship.
So there's really no precedent for what something like that would do to a human being psychologically.
And physically.
But it's like
your muscles atrophy in space.
Imagine being somebody who's like, yes, I want to go to Mars. Like, I want to be a pioneer. I'm adventurous. Like, this sounds great. Sign me up.
Be me. Oh my God.
But like, then you get on that fucking ship and you launch. And like, for the first week, you're like, wee, like I'm on my adventure. And then like by month 2, you start to go fucking crazy and there's no way out.
No way out. You're not even in the ocean. You can't even swim. No one can pick you up by an airplane. Like, you're fucked.
You're fucking on that little tiny ship for the next 2 years. Like, I think people will break down. That's what I think.
I mean, I can't even begin to understand why anybody would ever want to go to space, ever. I don't get it. Zero sense to me.
Yeah, we both said this before. We had a commiseration about this. Yeah, it sounds like I'm staying on Earth. I like it here.
Dude, it's fine. Or maybe I don't, but it's better than fucking the void of space.
Right. Yeah, it's hell here too. But I mean, there's no. If there were like an Earth 2 that was like a month away, and it was like empty, and it was like, wow, like maybe, you know.
I don't want to land on an empty planet personally. I would like to land on a planet that has infrastructure and like survival things and plants, you know, like my dog.
I could see like being on second or third wave, you know, after the initial pioneers get there and set shit up, I'll come in.
I could see being on like the 150th wave maybe, but like, no.
But I want to go when like the getting is good, when like the beachfront is still cheap.
Yeah, that's about in the 150th wave.
You can just own like 6,000 acres of like pristine wilderness on like some beach or something. But I don't know, Mira. It's all pretty fucked up, and I feel like we're going to keep learning about the Diddy story. It's probably going to get like increasingly nauseating, There's just nothing good about it. As soon as you get to 1,000 bottles of lube or 2,000 bottles of lube, it's like, okay, this is going to be gross and like totally dispiriting as we learn the truth. And I also read that Diddy has now hired like a quote unquote dream team of attorneys who's going to try to get him bail. After he's been trying. He's been trying and he's already been denied. And like, here's what I want to say just briefly. It's like another one of the things that pisses me off about the ultra rich is the ways in which they are able to access and enjoy a level of protection and service within the legal system that is totally unavailable to normies.
Yeah.
Like, oh, you're denied bail twice? Oh, well, then I'll just hire another set of multi-million-dollar attorneys who will then somehow... Yeah, and like he'll delay this shit the same way that Trump delays shit. Like, as long as you can pay the attorneys, it seems like the attorneys they can manipulate the system in to your benefit, at least for a time anyway. I mean, ultimately you have to go to trial, but it just seems like there's two standards and it's bullshit and it's been this way forever and it needs to stop.
I totally agree. Absolutely. I think that, like, honestly, maybe everybody on earth should have to have public defenders, everyone in the United States. And, like, maybe nobody should be allowed to have a private lawyer at all. Maybe that's how we level the playing field. I don't know. I mean, I'm not an expert, but it just seems like you should not be able to, like, pay your way out of, like, court. If, like, everybody is going to be fucking, like, held to the same laws, then perhaps everybody should have the same level of defense also. Like,
yeah, good luck with that. I mean, I don't see that happening, but yeah. All right. Well, what else do we got?
Let's see. Britney Spears almost burned her face off. Which that's a little bit of a,
Was she freebasing? What was happening?
Do you know what freebasing is? Can you explain it to me?
No, it's like where you light something and smoke it.
It's Richard, where you and smoke it.
I just remember Richard Pryor burned his face off when he was freebasing back in the 80s before you were born. So I've
seen the stand-up bit, though.
Mira, I've been reading stories about celebrities almost burning their faces off since before you were born. Do you realize that?
I mean, that probably is literally true. When did Richard Pryor burn his face off?
He actually lit himself on fire while freebasing cocaine.
He got seriously burned.
Yeah, and I think that actually hastened his decline and ultimate death. I mean, it was really serious. But what was? I mean, I don't think Britney Spears was freebasing, was she?
No, I don't think she was freebasing. Okay. So what was she doing though? So she says in an Instagram post, "I almost burned my face off." So she's back on Instagram.
Was she off?
I guess she was off for a little while, for like a couple months. And she recounts her near miss, saying that she normally has security handle her fireplace because it's caused some drama before. But 6 months ago, she took matters into her own hand and the fireplace, I guess, blew up in her face.
I get this. I understand.
And so, I mean, I totally get it.
It's just like the gas was running and she couldn't like light the little thingy, and then it.
I wouldn't even try. I would be like, I'm going to blow my house up.
By the time she actually lit it, there was like a excess amount of natural gas or whatever, and it flared. And so your face is down near it, and I
see. So it's like a stove, like when you're like, it's not lighting, it's going like click, click, click. It's like a fireplace.
Yeah. What is that click, click, click? There's a name for that thing, but I forget.
Like the pilot or something.
The pilot light. Yeah. Whatever.
Is that what it is?
Something like that. But Britney, I want to say Britney was in this Instagram, like it was a selfie video.
Yeah. And she was doing what is a self-proclaimed British accent. And now we do have some audio of this British accent that she has invented for herself.
Why is she using a British accent? Just for fun?
I guess just for fun. I mean, she has not said why she's using a British accent, but I mean... I guess the fake British accent is kind of like a pop woman's rite of passage a little bit. You got Madonna had a British accent for
a few years. Yeah, I remember that. It's like so fucking affected and weird. I don't get it. But
I mean, we can play a couple of seconds of this British accent. It's a little bit fuzzy, so you might struggle to hear it, but just to give you an idea.
Alright, so I'm in bed and I'm bored, so I think I'm going to talk in a British accent.
Jesus Christ. Okay. What is she doing? Is she operating a chainsaw while she's talking?
I don't know. It's like she's got so much. It's like she has a white noise machine on, like directly in her phone.
Yeah.
I don't know. But she's using a British accent there. If you can sound it, she goes, "I'm kind of sounding like this. I'm in a British accent, like pretty much that poorly."
Okay. I mean, if she's just goofing, I don't give a shit if she uses a British accent. But I got to say, like, I've seen over the months and years, in recent years, especially since the conservatorship ended, and she's been like the whole free Britney thing, and she's been liberated from her father's control. She has posted these videos that she kind of like selfie videos that then go viral. That's how I see them. And I don't feel like she's well.
I mean, I think that she's better than she was before. Like I think that like it was really, really bad before, and her videos were just as crazy. And like it was like she was having all her money taken, and it was like a nightmare. So like I'm glad she's out of that at least. Because
I love these. Like again, like this is like the Hollywood like Weinstein like sliding scale of like it's like, well, she's crazy now and using a British accent and almost burning her face off, but before,
like Madonna basically did all that too, and she's fine. So.
I mean,
like being that famous for that long makes you insane. And then she's also been like sheltered so much from like this conservatorship, like against her will, obviously, that like now that she can post to Instagram, she's like, fuck it. Nudes, I'm fucking dancing, I'm fucking doing a British accent, like whatever. She's having her like crazy girl Instagram face.
Didn't she, what was the dancing? Was she dancing with scissors or knives or something? Knives. Oh my God. That one where she's spinning around and like swinging knives around. I was just like, this girl.
But like you see videos of her when she's younger and she's dancing in the exact same way. Like you can see videos of her like dancing alone in her room when she's younger and she's doing like pretty much the exact same things, but she's
without knives, without like butcher knives in her hands.
That's kind of, the butcher knife's kind of iconic though. I'm kind of into it. She's given us like many iconic images over the years. I honestly think that the image of her shaving her head and smiling like is like one of the most like important images for like the history of like female anger or something like that. Like if I like had a daughter and I was like, okay, I need to teach you about what it's like to be a woman, I would hand her that photo and I would hand her a copy of Norman fucking Rockwell by Lana Del Rey. And I would say, here you go. It's all you need.
Is this what I should hand my daughter?
If you want her to end up a certain way, yeah.
If you want her to not get any sleep the night that you hand it to her, if you want her to stay up, like, rocking in bed.
Introduce her to the horrors of womanhood early so that she's ready for it, then yeah.
I have to observe our longstanding tradition on this program of saying that I've seen a celebrity when we talk about that celebrity.
Lana?
No, I sat next to Britney Spears at dinner once.
Even better.
And this was this was not long after that whole head shaving when she took a baseball bat to a car, whatever it was. Remember that? She like freaked out.
Like it was an umbrella, but yeah, it was like the same day.
Yeah. So I was at this restaurant called Dominic's, which was, it was great. The night I got engaged, my wife and I went there.
It's in Brentwood?
No, it was in West Hollywood. It's no longer there, but it was like, it's like, that restaurant Little Dom's in Los Feliz?
Yeah.
Okay, that's Little Dominic's. That was like the offshoot of the original Dominic's. Was an Italian restaurant with this brick patio that was covered. It's just a nice place to go. It was like a nice little space. And I was there with my cousin. He was in town. And I took him there for dinner. And we were sitting down. And all of a sudden, you see the security dude come in. And Britney and one of her friends come in. And they sat down literally like a table or two away from us. And what I remember, I think she might have had a wig on.
Yeah, she put a wig on for a while after that.
But what I remember is that she's taller than you would think.
Interesting.
Maybe she might have had like wedge heels on or something.
She seems like she would be like 5 foot nothing though. She seems tiny.
Right. But I remember being like, oh, she's tall. Like that was what I thought. But how tall is she? Can we Google this? I'd be curious.
Yeah, let's look this up. How tall?
Let's ask Siri.
You do seem like the type to like be like, how tall is Britney Spears? How tall is Britney Spears, Siri?
It says she's 5'4". She had to have had heels on.
5'4" is like taller than I would have expected, though. Honestly,
yeah,
like, it's not that tall, but it's like about average.
But then if you're wearing heels, you're like 5'8" or whatever, 5'10".
I'm 5'8".
I don't know. I guess you would have to have.
I'm pretty tall though.
Yeah, 5'8's tall for a woman, right?
Yeah, I mean, I was my full height when I was like 11. You can see pictures of me in middle school, and it's like I'm like a foot taller than all the boys in my class.
That's kind of how my daughter is. My wife is almost 5'11".
Yeah, she's tall.
She's like, I'm barely taller than she is. Like, where I'm 5'11" ish, and like she's 5'10"
Right, we all think she's taller than you.
But when we stand next to each other, it's really just because my neck is like a little longer. It's like, it's very
lengthy Audrey Hepburn neck. You're graceful.
My swan-like neck.
Exactly.
But yeah, we're almost exactly the same height. And when she wears heels, of course, she likes to tease me.
I guess when I think of her, I do think of her as tall. Like,
She's
I'm
tall.
like, but then like there's like a childlike part of my brain that kicks in where I'm like, okay, is it just because like, Brad and his wife are older than me? Like, is that like, oh, I think of them as like grown-ups and therefore they're tall?
We're not
no,
grown-ups.
Actually just tall.
Don't be fooled. We're not grown-ups, but
that is such a lie. You guys totally are 2 kids and shit.
Yeah, I mean,
don't even do drugs.
I did not. I remember just Britney had a security guard. I did not speak with her. We didn't have any kind of exchange. But she was out with one of her girlfriends, and it was. I found her, and she was also very beautiful. I was like, oh, she was like very beautiful in person. Sometimes there's a discrepancy between how a person photographs and how a person appears in real life. And
in my experience, they're always more beautiful in real life. Like with like celebrities who are like, or at least girls who are like really beautiful, like Angelina Jolie. I was like, oh my fucking God. Like I like saw her once in a window of the Chaya in Venice. And I was like, I just saw her and I was like, that is a shockingly beautiful woman. And then I was like, oh, it's Angelina Jolie.
I saw her and Brad. The one time I've seen Angelina Jolie and the one time I've seen Brad Pitt was at like the height of Brangelina. And I was at and this is going to sound fancier than it really was, but we went to the premiere of Munich, that Steven Spielberg movie.
Yeah.
Which was a great movie. I remember, and it was like probably one of the cooler, when you live in LA, by the way, for people listening, like you'll know people who work in the movies and you'll get invited to a premiere and you go
the industry in Los Angeles. Like you don't have to be rich or famous or whatever. Somebody on the crew, a production person, like That's a gaffer. Like it's just a thing.
We knew somebody in marketing at Universal and they were like, yeah, come to the premiere. So
yeah, we
go to the premiere, but it was a well attended because it was Steven Spielberg was there. And it's like kind of like a little bit more, especially back in those days, it was like esteemed. And we go and we're sitting in this theater. I'm forgetting where it was. It was some place on Wilshire and
Beverly.
I forget. It was like some film center. I don't know. But we were there and we were in this
the kind of attack.
Maybe so. But we were in this like beautiful theater space, and then Brangelina came in like right before the lights went down. They timed it, and so the theater is packed, and then they come in, and I swear to God, like the breath went out of the room because they were both so fucking hot.
Yeah, it's fucking crazy.
They were like peak gorgeous. I mean, Angelina Jolie at that time, probably the most beautiful woman on the planet. And Brad Pitt, of course, is just like unbelievably handsome. And together, it was just
tall. He's really tall.
He's like 6'1" or 6'2", I think.
Mm-hmm.
So anyway, that was my one sighting. And then they watch the movie, and then you never see him again. Right. But I don't even know how we got onto that subject matter. What were we talking? Oh, Britney Spears.
Like being beautiful in real life. I saw Reese Witherspoon once at the Brentwood Country Mart, and like Natasha and I were like, holy fucking shit. Like that is the most beautiful person I've ever seen. Like,
But I would say sometimes the guys are not as good looking in person.
Yeah, I think that's right. I think they can kind of just look like schlubs in person, like, cause they don't have their stylists and they don't have their whole thing to make themselves look better. Not always, but sometimes.
Yeah, but they all have some kind of photogenic quality that you have to, right? If you're going to be on
charm, like, I think a lot of male actors also like aren't necessarily there for like their like specific good looks in like a traditional sense. Like a lot of them are, but like some of them are just interesting to watch, and like so you see them in real life, and you're not like, oh, that's a beautiful person, but it's somebody with a skill.
But you're interesting to watch.
Yeah,
it's like Willem Dafoe or some shit.
Yeah, except Willem Dafoe's hot. That's like.
Is he hot? Okay, yeah.
I mean, I was just at my grandma's house yesterday, and she was saying that she had Willem Dafoe over to her house one time, and I was like, what the fuck? Like, why? Guess what? She was a friend of there's a band living in a fucking trailer in the driveway for some reason back in the 80s, and like Willem Dafoe was like a friend of this band. I was like, what the fuck, Grandma? Like, what are you even talking about? But
your grandma had a band living in a trailer in her driveway?
She did. if I could remember what the fuck the band's name was, maybe one person living to this podcast would be like, oh yeah, I know who that is. Like, but
Wait, you're gonna search for this? You can. Who was the band that lived in my grandma's driveway? Siri.
Fear.
Fear. What's the name of the band?
Haha.
I have fear living in my driveway. That's so.
Yeah, I know, me too. But like, what's the band?
Who doesn't these days?
Sounds like something from a David Lynch movie. They'd say in the Red Room, like, I have fear living in my driveway. And then
What did Fear sing? Do we know any of their songs?
no, it's like a punk band that like sucks.
Oh, okay. It's a good name for a punk band, right? Fear. Maybe
Yeah.
not.
I mean,
Seems
it's kind of a good name.
Seems
It's
like
fine.
a natural name.
It's
Man.
kind of a natural name if you're like I don't know, like Tipper Gore, and you're afraid of people who like sing loud music or whatever.
Yeah, they're definitely getting the parental advisory sticker on their album.
Exactly. You like that Gen X reference I busted out? That's
yeah, hey, that Tipper Gore. My
you
God.
know, I'm respecting your culture.
Thank you. What else we got? Anything good?
I think we have a Brad Learns, yeah?
I mean, yeah, let's talk about how I'm going to learn today. I need to learn. I always need to learn. I love to
Always
learn.
needs to learn. Brad loves to learn.
I do love to learn.
In our theme song, Brad Learns.
Brad learns.
Brad, what are we learning about today?
I just want to talk about nepo babies.
Okay, interesting. Now, before the show, Brad was like, I don't want to be mean about people's kids. Like, I feel bad, blah, blah, blah. So, like, I'm just going to say it. Nicole Kidman's daughter walked in New York Fashion Week this week.
I just want to say, too, I'm not singling her out. It could. I see this. I see this repeatedly.
Yeah.
It could be like almost any celebrity's child, but it's like, you know how like on the award shows, like I think it's the Golden Globes, it'll be like, and then this year's like Miss Golden Globes is so and so, the daughter of so and so, and they'll bring out this.
Golden Globes are you watching?
It's like a pageant. It's like you're the queen of the prom or whatever, and you become
like
like
your coming out party, like a debutante, like
not even kidding. You've never seen this? You've never seen it, or no?
on the Golden Globes?
I think it's that or the Oscars, but it's like they sort of like parade out the new generation of celebrity spawn, but like not for any like merit-based reason. It's truly just like, yeah, here they are on display. And like, then I will repeatedly see, I will often see celebrity spawn just sort of like put up onto a catwalk at a fashion show to like be a model.
This happens a lot. This is like, I feel like it's where like nepo babies go to kind of like test the waters with like being a socialite or being an actor or being a model and see like, can I be a high fashion model? Can I do like a guest spot in the runway and then like have that be more? Because like celebrities are friends with fashion designers. That just happens. They're getting dressed by these people. They're, you know, they have a stylist. They're buying from them. They're, you know, designers are reaching out to them. Can I dress you? And so I guess it makes sense that that would be one of the first places you would like send your kid if you were wanting them to, like if you're a famous person and you're wanting them to be successful and having a career or whatever. I guess it kind of makes sense to like, it'd be like an easy place to get your kid like placed in the public eye.
And
like
just like
like
to begin the process of like getting their image like disseminated into the culture.
Yeah, like I think like this happened with like Lily Rose Depp, like Johnny Depp's kid with the French fashion model who I'm forgetting the name of.
It's a French singer. Holiday, I think, was her last name.
Singer? Is that? It was Billie Holiday. No.
Yeah. Johnny Depp and Billie Holiday had a.
Yeah. I mean, that would be a beautiful child with a terrible dad, but which, you know, Lily Rose Depp is a beautiful child with a terrible dad, so I guess that's fine. But
wait, is Johnny Depp is he's problematic? Let's see.
Yeah. Absolutely problematic.
But he won his court case.
Yeah.
But that's problematic.
So did Donald Trump.
What court case did he win? Let's see.
Probably one or two. I don't know.
Wait, I want to see what this person. Vanessa Paradise, not
there
Johnny.
You go.
Johnny Holiday. Vanessa Paradise is a French pop star. Johnny Holiday. Also like that's why I was conflating. But yeah, it's Vanessa Paradise.
Okay, yeah. So Vanessa Paradis and Johnny Depp's daughter, Lily Rose Depp, definitely started out as a fashion model. which like you see her and you go, okay, she's so fucking gorgeous. That makes sense. But actually, like if you're like a high fashion model who's like, that's your just full-time job, you're getting booked for shoots or for runway models specifically, it's like a very specific body type. You need to be like 6 feet tall, minimum 5'11",
110
like,
pounds.
like, yeah, exactly. Like you have to weigh like under 125 pounds, but over, there's like a legal limit now where you can't hire models under a certain weight. So you have to be over the legal weight, but under a certain weight. And like these celebrities don't often or ever like meet these standards. This is kind of like a freakish standard for people. Like, you know, models are like freakishly gorgeous people, and that's not often just like what celebrities' kids look like. But they get placement in these shows sort of as like the, yeah, you know, like the finale or something like that, where it's like, okay, you have all these models in all of our outfits, and then like our like main most exciting dress is on like Kylie Jenner, or, you know, on like Nicole Kidman's daughter, who's like being introduced to the world via our fashion show. So it becomes this kind of like, I don't know, coolness bargaining chip for like fashion houses too, where it's like, okay, like we're going to get like a really cool kid in this show. Like we're going to get like the son or daughter of blah, blah, blah. Like the first place to get like, you know, Kim and Kanye's daughter Northwest on the fucking runway was like a big deal, even though she was like 5 or whatever the fuck. Like,
I mean, it's never too early to trot them out and put them on the runway. I just like, I guess like I feel for these kids because it's really hard to sort of like create your own identity in the shadow of like this like mega fame that your parent or your parents have, you know.
I
like,
know what that's like. I mean, God, that is just, it's been a tough thing for me my whole life.
but I mean, I'm talking like the white hot, like mega celebrity like Nicole Kidman or whatever.
Yeah.
But it's like, I guess too, the apple doesn't fall that far from the tree.
Yeah, they want it. I mean, it's like, not all of them. I'm sure there's some celebrities who are like, you have to go be famous or whatever. But like, these kids are being given the most like monetarily lucrative and like appreciated job in like the world, you know, like they're getting to be like winning Oscars and shit like that. Like it is like many people would literally kill for their position. And it probably is hard, but also it's like, I would fucking love to be a nepo baby. That sounds great.
And it's a good gig. I mean, like, yeah, I guess the question is like, how are we supposed to feel about this? How do you feel about it? Do you think it's bullshit? Do you fucking hate it? Do you have like resentment towards the nepo babies?
I have resentment towards some of them. I don't even know if I would call it resentment as much as just like not liking them very much, I guess. But like at the same time, my opinions are mixed because I do feel like if you're a good parent, you want your kid to be a nepo baby. Like if you're like a good parent who wants your kid to succeed, you like are going to give them every possible avenue for success, right? And so it's like, okay, I understand from a parent's point of view where it's like, I want my kid to feel good about themselves, to have a career. If they want to act, I'm going to like do everything I can to get them to be like a successful actor. I totally empathize with that. Like I'm not a parent, but that's what I would want to do for my kids. So like that kind of makes sense to me. But I get also where these kids are kind of like sometimes spoiled assholes who like aren't actually that talented and like are getting roles that like more talented, less famous people maybe should get.
Yeah. I mean, I think like you're right. Like, you know, if your kid is expressing, I think it's got to be success on their terms though.
Yeah,
like
absolutely.
If you're trying to like push your child into a career in entertainment to sort of maybe glorify you further or something.
And that's just perverse and fucked.
Yeah. And I don't think that's usually the case. I think a lot of times these kids, they just grow up around it. And so they don't know what, and they also are maybe genetically probably predisposed to lean creatively, and they're like, what else am I going to do?
And from nature, you know,
it's the path of least resistance because they grew up going to film sets, they've been around all these people,
they know these people, family, friends, like
they've seen their parents be like remunerated and like lauded and like celebrated their whole lives, and like they've gotten great tables at restaurants and the best seats in the house. They're like, yeah, why wouldn't I want to do it?
Famous, probably a lot of them, you know, it's like they're probably already in the public eye, so it's like I might as well do something like get a role in a movie or do Fashion Week if I'm already here. Like that kind of makes sense to me too.
Yeah, so I don't, you don't choose who you get born to, so yeah. I don't think they should be criminalized just for being born to some celebrity. It's not their fault.
And some of them are talented. Like, it's just, you know, like, I think Lily Rose Depp is very talented, honestly. Like, and I think, like, there's plenty of other nepo babies that are talented. I think Margaret Qualley is pretty talented. Like,
Yeah,
and
she's
interesting to
great.
watch. Like, I think it's like, I think we can acknowledge when somebody is a Nepo and should acknowledge when somebody is a Nepo baby because it does give them an unfair advantage. But I
Well,
think there's
that's
also nothing wrong with like, seeing how good they are at the thing they do and how much you enjoy them and just judging them based on that. Like Jason Schwartzman is a Nepo baby.
right.
Everyone loves him.
Yeah,
Nick
exactly.
Cage is a Nepo baby.
Here's what I don't like. This is where I have an issue, and I've seen this happen before. Is like this sort of like there's like this nepo baby backlash, right? Where all like the normies in the general public and in the media class are sort of criticizing these nepo babies for having an unfair advantage. But then there's like the backlash to the backlash from the nepo babies that I sometimes see, where they're just like "fuck you," like
Yeah, this is stupid. Just shut up.
yeah. See, this is what I don't like, and I want to. Who was it?
I think it was
It-
Dakota Johnson.
Yeah, where she's like, it's not that easy to be a nepo baby, and like I
And
haven't.
people, I couldn't just like suck and like it's like I'm sorry, you did suck. You were in 50 Shades of Grey and you sucked, and now you become a better actor, Dakota Johnson.
Well, I
But
don't
like
think.
you got
Yeah,
here because of your parents. Let's be real.
this is the thing. Like, there's a way to walk this line that shouldn't be that difficult. Like around the nepo baby conversation, if there are any nepo babies listening, just acknowledge the fact that your enormous privilege from birth has helped you
Yeah,
in a significant way with respect to access.
your whole life, your whole
it-
career. Your whole career has been helped by you being a nepo baby, and that's fine. You can
And-
still have a perfectly good career.
and
Like,
it doesn't guarantee. Like if you suck, like if
Yeah.
you're just not good and you don't work hard at it, you're probably not going to have a long career. You might get a few movie roles or something just
Right.
based on like.
but there's people who are 20 times as good who don't even have a foot in the door.
Just acknowledge that.
And just acknowledge that. Like I even like honestly, like I said, I think it's kind of sweet when parents like really want their kids to like succeed in the avenue that they're in, even rich people who suck. Like I get that. Did you see the movie Trap, the M. Night Shyamalan movie?
No.
It's like in the movie, M. Night Shyamalan's daughter. It's like the idea is that they're like at an Eras Tour-esque concert, basically. And he cast the pop star as his daughter was cast as a pop star, M. Night Shyamalan's daughter, because she
Right.
she like released an album too and like whatever. And I saw that and somehow I found myself like absolutely cheering for the M. Night Shyamalan nepo babies. I was like, hell yeah, you go M. Night. You seem like a good dad. That seemed like it was fun on set. I'm glad you supported your daughter that way. I hope she has a successful career. And then I was like, wait, like I don't even know what music his daughter's ever made. Like I don't know, like what I'm not a fan of hers. I don't know anything about her. But like something about M. Night himself, he just seems like a sweet dad. His kids seem nice. His family seems nice. He does these movies that like aren't always popular, but like he just does them anyways because he enjoys it. Everyone has a nice time with him on set. Like it just seemed like a nice situation where I want the family to succeed. And
Right.
that's pretty rare in a celebrity. But also like if you're in the family or you know the people, like you want the family to succeed. I get that.
Yeah. I mean, there's like, yeah,
Just acknowledge your privilege. Be like, I was really lucky. And we all go, yes, you were. And we like seeing you in movies and great.
and
yeah.
like once you're in a position of influence, like stick your hand out and lift somebody up who didn't have that shit. You know?
Exactly. Yeah, it's like your fucking parents are like, they got you here. So like maybe like, I don't know, stick up for like some people who are being treated poorly on set or who are like, I don't know, any number of things. Like at least just say, be like, most people don't have it as easy as me.
Yeah.
I succeeded because like I had a leg up.
I think, but the thing I sort of recoil from is this idea that like a person is so like bubbled and is so like cosseted and has had such a life of privilege that they can't even really see. They can't see how they're privileged. Like it's
Yeah.
just so normal to them. Like, yeah, my life is hard. I'm in pain. I'm
I
taking
work hard.
Xanax.
I'm talented. Like I
Yeah.
do. Yeah, right. I'm taking Xanax. Like I'm.
They have no idea.
I struggled to get here, and it's like actually, like you didn't the way that most people do. Like you like struggled to get here, kind of, but like really, you got like a role in a gigantic movie as your first role, and you were treated differently than other actors because like your parents are well known and nobody can treat you terribly, which is a good thing. But like, just acknowledge that you have that. It's like doesn't take away from like your potential talent or your hard work just because you like got a leg and a foot in the door. Like that was easy for you. Most people can't do that. And it's like they have no ability to acknowledge that like the fact that they're famous at all is because of their parents, even if they're working hard.
They can't, like most people can't even get a fucking agent.
Yeah.
These people just like get an agent, because they're
Most
related.
people can't even get into like open casting calls. Like it's like you can't wait in line that long.
It reminds me of when Gwyneth Paltrow got cast, and remember that Peter Pan movie with Robin Williams, I think it was.
Hook.
Yeah, but it's like she called like Steven Spielberg like Uncle Steven. She got like that role because he basically was her uncle. I mean, great, but it's like that's the way that it works usually.
Yeah. And
or
it's like
oftentimes.
Right. And it's been this way for a long time. I think it's just like gotten to a point where now we're finally acknowledging it. Like Angelina Jolie, Nepo baby. Like I said, Jason Schwartzman, Nepo baby. Like, Sofia Coppola, obviously Nepo baby. Nick Cage, Nepo baby. Like, God, there's so many Coppolas. But
it's just an endless. But it's like, and it's a company town, and it's like a trade, and like I
legacy admissions.
Say again?
They're legacy admissions, like in a college.
Yeah, but it's also like, I don't know. I get it. I think it's kind of natural for there to be, and it happens in other businesses as well, but just not with the same stakes. Like you would have like a father who's like a car dealer, and then his son inherits the business or whatever. Like that sort of shit happens,
Exactly. So, or even like, my sister's boyfriend's dad is a mechanic, and like, now he's a mechanic at the same place. And it's like
family business.
It's family business. It's just like that on a really insane scale.
But just don't act like you bootstrapped your career when you started on third base, and like, that sort of shit bothers me. And, it's like, it's worth noting too, though, because I think there is some truth to this notion that just because you are a Nepo baby doesn't mean that it's like simple to get movies made or to get good roles. Like you still have to like, especially in the early going, you have to hustle, you have to audition, and you know.
But which is why like actors who are Nepo babies and good actors don't tend to like get mad about the Nepo baby thing or get pointed out as Nepo babies all the time. Again, Nick Cage, no one's like, he's a Nepo baby. And that's because he's like truly put the work in, like to a ridiculous degree. And it's like, that's because like he proved himself. So like maybe if you're a Nepo baby, the one hurdle that you have to pass is proving that you're actually good at your job. Yeah,
just work your ass off.
Yeah.
And like just work your ass off and be humble and be like, I had a leg up. It's a huge advantage, and I'm trying to honor it by like doing great work and busting my ass and helping people out. Like that's it.
That's all you have to do. It's easy.
Don't be all offended. Don't be all like, oh, quit calling me a Nepo baby. Like,
how dare you point out that my parents are famous? Like, bitch, what? like, okay, then why don't you fucking hide from your parents? Like. Stephen King's son writes under a pen name because he doesn't want to be under his dad's shadow. You could have done that.
Right. Just don't even admit. But I guess people are going to find out.
I mean, yeah, but it's like, I don't know. If you don't want to talk about your parents, don't talk about your fucking parents. Or like, just be like, yeah, those are my parents. But nothing. I got a leg up.
Wait till my children inherit this podcast. They're going to... do you know how easily my children are going to be able to have a podcast when they come of age?
It is good. They are going to have so much privilege and wealth and just fame and glory. I mean, just the podcasting empire that you are leaving to your children. They're going to be basically trust fund babies.
It keeps me up at night. I worry about how it's going to affect them, and how they're going to potentially become monsters because of all the power that I'm going to bestow upon them on their 21st birthdays.
They're not their 18th, they're 21st.
I'm going to try to give them some time to grow up before I bequeath them this empire. But
make them do like a couple of years of college, and then you're like, all right, fine, fuck it, you can do the podcast now.
That's another thing that I feel like Nepo babies often do. They do college for like 2 years, and then they're like, why am I even pretending that I need an education? Like, I'm fine.
The parents are probably like, oh, like after high school, you have to go to college because like I want to be able to tell kids or tell other parents that my kid went to college, and then 2 years in, they're like, actually, I got a role in a Marvel movie. Like, I'm out.
They're like, actually, Mom, I'm going to be walking the runway at a fashion show at Paris Fashion Week.
I'm walking for Balenciaga, so.
And then I'm going to be in a coveted front row seat at another show where I will be photographed repeatedly sitting next to so and so.
I'm going to do this 5 times today, different outfits every time.
Yeah, I fucking hate those ubiquitous shots of like celebrities sitting in the front row, just like watching, observing the fashion show. Why does that bother me so much? It's just like, ugh, the whole scene. Get me out of here.
It is funny to hear what bothers you. Because, like,
Yeah.
to me, that's one of the, I mean, it is annoying, but it's like almost one of the less annoying things celebrities can do because I can see myself there being interested in watching also. Like,
I
I'm like, okay,
guess.
that's fair. It's cool looking. The clothes are like are as interesting, but it is really annoying. Fashion Week is really, really annoying.
Do you know how physically uncomfortable I would be to have to attend one of those shows? Like, what would I wear? I have no idea. I would
But
be like,
you would call me and say, Mira, I have a budget of about $80 and I need to look really expensive.
let's go
Help.
thrifting. Let's go thrifting.
Like thrifting like so hard. Like we have to find like just like Anna Wintour level clothing like at like the Goodwill down the street.
I'm gonna make my own shirt out of tinfoil just to fuck with people. They'll be like, whoa,
Just balls of tinfoil just glued,
yeah.
hot glued directly to your skin.
I probably would be a hit. They'd be like, wow,
Yeah, that's amazing. Oh my
look
god.
look at that guy.
Icon.
Honestly though, like I just like there's just certain contexts that like I cannot appear in, and like there's certain contexts that you cannot appear in. But like for me, I think like New York or Paris like fashion show is not some place that I could ever exist.
Yeah. I guess we have kind of like a good overlap in that like I probably couldn't exist in a lot of the spaces that you could. Like you could probably like blend in at like a shareholders meeting, you know, like or like some other thing with powerful white dudes. If you put on like a you know like a blazer and like a top and just kind of like looked very serious, like nobody would know that you like weren't a shareholder. But if I walked in and like the first second they'd be like, what the fuck is she doing? Why is she here? Who is this?
Why does she have lizard eyes?
Yeah, why? Who is this stone person? Who let this high person in here? Did she wander off the street? Like, what the fuck?
Yeah, I mean, at this stage of my life, I could blend into like a lot of straight environments.
Absolutely. You just gotta get yourself like a little suit from Zara, and like that's all you need.
Is it Zara? Is that where I need to get a suit?
I mean, if you want like a really cheap suit,
I don't. I have one good suit. That's all I've ever had.
it's all a man needs.
That's what I feel like. I have one really good suit, and then if I need to wear it, which is like at weddings or funerals, I wear it, and then otherwise I stay away from it.
You know, and here's a hot tip to guys: you don't have to spend that much on a suit. Spend the money on tailoring. Get yourself a pretty cheap suit. Spend like $150, whatever. Go to Nordstrom Rack and then take it to a good tailor, and that'll make you look better than if you buy an expensive suit without one.
Yeah, if the suit doesn't fit right, you're fucked.
And even if it does off the rack fit okay, a tailor can make it better.
That's right. Look at you, Mira.
Befriend your local tailor.
I don't know who my local tailor is.
See, that's the problem. That's why you don't look rich enough to be in these board meetings.
I wear a t-shirt and shorts every day.
That's true. You do. That's true. You don't have a job where you need to wear a suit, I suppose.
No,
but if you did, I would be mad at you for not knowing your local tailor.
I get self-conscious sometimes about it, and I'm like, I'll go online and be like, okay, what should I wear? And then I'll go onto these like retail sites and I'll fill up the cart. But then I'll be like, I'm not spending money on this. I'm never going to wear this shit. But I've actually done that where I've got like, $1,500 worth of clothes in the fucking cart. I'm like, this is going to be the new me. And then I don't buy it.
I mean, like, do you get like advice from like your wife on what to wear, or do you just like, are you just kind of
at this point? I think she's just sort of surrendered to the fact that this is who I am. I've never, and by the way, since I was a little boy, I have always despised dressing up. Despised it. I hated it as a kid. I never wanted to get dressed to go to church on Sunday. My mother, who's like from the South, you can imagine.
Church. That is a level of philosophy that I will never experience.
Well, I haven't experienced it since I was about 13, and finally was just like, fuck this. But I just remember my mother wanted nothing more than to see me in like nice clothes growing up. She was one of those moms, like, just put on this blazer,
That is so funny.
I was like, no, I don't want to wear a blazer. I want to wear like a t-shirt and like a baseball hat backwards. I was like 9.
I mean, no 9-year-old wants to dress up for church. That's just like absolutely not. I wouldn't even wear closed-toed shoes when I was 9. I'd show up to school in flip-flops and they'd get mad at me.
Yeah, like fuck it. Like the thing for me is like, I get fashion to a degree, but it's like, just be comfortable. Don't you just want to be comfortable?
Yes, but being a woman is very hard. You're constantly being perceived.
Yeah, I know. But I mean, like at some point, just fuck it and like wear shit that makes you comfortable. Like not only comfortable like psychologically, but like you want to wear clothes that are physically comfortable.
Yeah.
So much of what passes for fashionable is so uncomfortable to wear. It's like, why are we doing this?
I feel like a lot of like social anxiety that I have is like revolves around having to wear a bra. it is like the most uncomfortable clothing item. I hate it so fucking much. It is just like, but then you can't not wear one either. It's just like a fucking nightmare no matter what. Every time you go outside, you'll never have to deal with this.
Well, you never know.
I mean,
maybe I'll get older.
All gender expressions. So, if you'd like to experiment with that, I support you.
Maybe my man boobs one day will require restraint.
I mean, they're just boobs, right? It's like man or woman. You don't say woman boobs. So
just boobs.
If you gained enough weight, they would just be boobs.
Yeah. I feel like if I were to blow up, like if I really gained weight, I might have them.
You think?
I don't know. I mean, I'd have to look. I think I'm like an A cup. Very.
Like now or like when you become a sumo wrestler?
What's below A cup? What is below A cup?
Double A.
Double. I'm like a double A right now. I think.
And then it's like teen sizes.
Yeah, I'm like trying to like ward them off, keep them from becoming a thing.
Trying to get them to not grow.
Are there men who do you think wear bras? Like straight men who have like man boobs who are like, you think so?
It's a thing. Men have they'll get you can get surgeries for it. Like some men have tissue here, more tissue than other men. And you can see it when it's not really crazy. You can see it on other men where it's like they just have a little more tissue here. But some of them have a lot more tissue there. And sometimes it looks like boobs unless you wear a binder kind of, or get surgery to remove it.
Yeah. If you're out there listening and you're a man who requires this sort of contraption, please write us and tell us about it.
I would love to know, I would love to hear if you also have to wear an uncomfortable bra to go out and socialize.
Do you ever go out without a bra? Do you ever just say, fuck it, I'm going out like a 60s, like women in the 60s and 70s, that was like the bra burning age, right? And it was
I guess so. Although it's I spend too much money on my bras to burn them at this point. I've got custom not custom, but bras are expensive. I'm not going to burn my bras. They're expensive. But I do wear them sometimes. I'll just if I'm doing something that's just I'm not going to put on makeup or whatever, I'm just going to go to my mom's house or a friend's house and hang out. Sometimes I'll just say, fuck it, whatever. Sometimes I'll be at a friend's house hanging out and I'll get comfy enough that I'm just I'll just take my bra off. I'll be all right, I'm just going to take this off under my clothes. No one notices.
Just do that thing. Yeah. And then where do you put it? You put it in your purse?
Yeah. Normally I'll just be I'm taking my bra off. I don't really have a lot of shame.
You say, you announce it to the room.
I mean, it's kind of, I feel like that's less weird than somebody just noticing me taking my bra off.
Yeah. And if you're going to do it and they're going to see you do it, you should just tell them, you should say something.
Unless I'm going to do it secretly or whatever. But then if someone notices that I don't have a bra on, they'll be where did her bra go?
Yeah. I mean, women have to deal with, I think, more when it comes to fashion and the male gaze and just the expectations, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. It's you just don't want to go outside if you're feeling a certain level of unattractive.
I just wish that I think I've talked about this before. I wish that I had a stylist, a personal stylist who could and I know you volunteer.
I'm right here.
If I ever have money, Mira, excessive, just stupid money.
You want to spend $1,500 on clothes? I'll get you a wardrobe. You can get a whole fucking, where you can go to the mall and you will look so stylish by the end. We'll get you a haircut too.
Oh my God. Do you think my hair is okay? I just got a haircut. It's all right.
I think throw it out a little on top even more. I like it. Go for a semi Lynch. You can't do the full David Lynch. I know
I don't have that. I don't have the hairline. It's the hair. To do that Lynch, you've got to have that total square hairline. Or whatever.
You have to have a 2 head instead of a 5 head.
Yeah. What are you saying?
I mean, look, I have this to cover up the forehead situation. If you look here, it's I got a good forehead. 5, 6, 10 fingers up there.
I feel like some men just grow this hair, the texture of David Lynch's hair is just so perfect.
He is blessed hair wise. He's got
it's perfect.
He's got a good hair texture. It's rare that somebody has texture of their hair they figure out so early in life, and it's just this works for me.
Brad Pitt has great hair too, that way.
I can't even imagine what hair looks like.
But the thing about it is that he can wear some of these people. He can wear hair any which way. He can buzz it. He can have it long. He can have it, semi-long. He can do anything with it, and it's just looks good. I guess he's also got professionals working on him, but
he's also a male model, so that's
that'll do it.
Gorgeous man,
but a problematic male model.
I mean, someone who beats their wife, so that's not ideal.
And we know for sure he did that.
I mean, that's what the federal investigation and all of his children say.
They say that he beat her, or he just like was punching I think he was punching a wall in an airplane or something, wasn't he?
He was like hitting her. He was like punching the wall. He was throwing things. He slapped her. It was like a whole fucking thing.
It's so fucked up. It's so sad. All right, Mira. Well, I think we've covered a lot of ground today. I feel really proud of us, and I know that we have made another very significant contribution to the cultural conversation and to the spiritual growth of our audience.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, write us in and let us know about your spiritual growth as a result of this episode. letters at otherppl.com. Let us hear from you. We will read your letter on the air, and we will dissect it. That's
for public consumption.
That's right. I will burn you to filth.
You're welcome, everybody. We'll see you next time, or we'll talk to you next time.
Bye-bye.